Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kurt, and we are going to be doing something a little bit different today. A driving vlog. This is post-recorded commentary over footage I recorded driving, obviously, as I'm starting to do right now. This is actually also was to be my my reveal as to where I moved last November. In November of 2014, I moved from Chicago to, drumroll please, Phoenix. So we are driving up Phoenix South Mountain Park. This is a free city park in the South Mountains of Phoenix that are conveniently located just south of Phoenix. And there's a road that you can drive all the way up to the top. A lot of trails, little lookouts and things. And as you can see in the distance, at the tallest peak, they have a bunch of radio towers and stuff. So we're going to take a drive. It's a cool drive. It's a little bit slow. I think the speed limit's like 25 miles an hour and 15 miles an hour around the curves. So it's no rally stage or anything like that, but it's interesting. It's a nice curvy road. It's nice and close to the city. And yeah, I figured it'd be a good time to test out my action camera. I suppose some technical notes here. I am recording this, or I did record this, with a Monoprice. A Monoprice.com MHD Sport 2.0 action camera atop the standard GoPro suction mount. If you, for whatever reason, are considering purchasing the Monoprice action camera, it seems to be doing all right. The audio is going to be mostly muted because it's mostly just wind noises. Unfortunately, we did not get much of the surrounding or engine noises or anything like that. It's mostly just wind, so that's going to be mostly muted on your part. But yeah, and it is suction cupped atop on the roof of my 2015 Subaru XV Crosstrek. So yeah, I got one of those too. I'll probably be doing a different video about my thoughts about the vehicle and whatnot, kind of a little mini personal review, but this right here, we're going to be talking about moving to Phoenix. It was kind of spoiled ahead of time by the Guinness World Records book. As you know, the Farlands Bus Journey got into the Guinness World Records Gamers Edition, and right in the first line they say Kurt J. Mac from Phoenix, Arizona. That kind of spoiled the reveal from myself, which is unfortunate. And also, I kind of wish I told them to say Chicago, because I still feel as though, and I still am, from Chicago. That's where I was born, that's where I grew up. Saying I'm from Phoenix seems a little bit false, because I just happen to live here. I've happened to have lived here for the past 10 months or whatever, so I don't feel like I'm from Phoenix. But anyway, that's beside the point. I moved to Phoenix. It's pretty crazy, right? It's very crazy. Halfway across the country. Well, mostly across the country. 2 time zones. So yeah, I suppose what number one anybody ever always asks about somebody who moves to Phoenix is, isn't it hot? It's in the middle of the desert. Isn't it too hot? Obviously during the winter time, this is where a lot of snowbirds, it's kind of the Florida of the Southwest. During the winter, people will come down here to live. You're retired folk, as it were, and to get away from the snow and the cold and whatnot. But I have moved down here year-round, and yeah, it gets hot. Sure, it gets hot. Certainly between the months of May and August, we're even into September, we're still in the midst of the heat here. Regularly, I don't think, there was a while there was a stretch through June, July, and August where we didn't have a day that was not up into the triple digits, above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. For you Europeans on the Celsius grade, that is 37 degrees Celsius. That would be the high temperature during the day, would be above that, and often well above that. Normally around 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 43 degrees Celsius. We didn't get, I don't believe we got into the 120s, although that's possible. I think the hottest we've gotten, while I've been here anyway, is 118 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what is that, 48 degrees Celsius? I have all these conversions written down, if you can't tell. So yeah, it gets hot. It gets really hot, but it's literally the exact opposite of, say, winters in Chicago or anywhere else that experiences cold, snowy winters. You're kind of trapped indoors for 3 or 4 months during the day. You can't go out. The only exception in Phoenix is that it's during the summer months, and it's really not that bad. Like I said, you stay inside, stay out of the midday sun. It's really nice if you do happen to get up early enough to go out in the morning. It's nice. It's in the 80s in the morning after sunset. You can go out to one of the many open-air malls, have some ice cream, walk by some gentleman without his shirt on, all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. I think the worst thing is having a dog, because you can't really do much with your dog for fear of heat exhaustion. Dogs obviously will not tell you when they're feeling bad. They'll just collapse. Also, even just taking, say, Eva for a walk, you really have to be careful when the temperature is above 90 degrees of the pavement. Sidewalks and pavement gets really hot, and that really can damage and burn their little foot pads, their little jelly beans on the bottom of their feet. So it's really kind of a bummer to be stuck inside with Eva, who has all of this energy and wants to play frisbee and fetch and jump around and run around, run after the lizards and the rabbits and things. So I'm looking forward to it cooling down for her sake and for the sake of being able to actually be a proper thumbs up dog owner or whatever. But yeah, it gets hot. It's quite hot. A lot of people come down here. Well, it's a dry heat. It's the desert. That's kind of a joke, because yeah, it's a dry heat, but it's still frickin' hot, man. It's still 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So while it is a dry heat, if you do find some shade, you'll normally be okay-ish. You do, jump into some air conditioning, it's fairly easy to cool down. It's still a heat. But even, yeah, when did I go? In July, I went back home to visit family in Chicago, and it was maybe in the mid-80s at the time in Chicago, but it was a very humid mid-80s, and I did not like that at all. It was sticky and gross, and the sweat didn't evaporate. So it does, I suppose to each their own. It just depends on a preference. You do hear a lot of stories of people from the Midwest or the Northeast moving down to Phoenix, going through one summer and being like, nope, that's it, going back, screw this. So I think I'm doing all right, though. I think I have handled it well. It has been very dry. It is normally monsoon season between, say, June, July, August, September. But it's really been spotty, which I think is how the monsoons really work. It's been spotty for rain coverage or whatnot. There have been some fairly long stretches without rain. The first time I saw rain in many months was when I went to Seattle for PAX Prime. So it's quite dry. I think we're expecting the monsoon season to kind of pick up. I have kind of reservedly wanted to see like a dust storm, which are affectionately called haboobs. It's always good to see some haboobs. Those are the big dust storms you've probably seen on the internet. They all go viral. Time-lapse of these large walls of dust coming just before a monsoon or a thunderstorm comes in that just comes rolling into the city and over the city. Had one such occasion. I was a little bit taken off guard by it because my cell phone, all the cell phones, if you have your emergency alerts enabled, incoming dust storm, stay off the roads, blah, 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 and it told me, I'm like, I don't see any dust storm, and literally 10 minutes later, dust storm, But that was a kind of a minor one. The locals, we were out with some local friends, and they're like, that was early in June or something like that. That was kind of a small one. Just stay tuned for perhaps a bigger one. So sort of looking forward to that. Also, because they rarely get any rain here in Phoenix, I think it's like less than 4 inches a year or something like that. Because rain is so a rare occurrence here, they don't have very good infrastructure to deal with it, so flooding tends to be a problem. Also, the desert ground is very hard, so it doesn't absorb water as quickly as, say other soils around the nation. So flooding is often an issue and a concern, so I'm kind of like, it'd be nice to see some storms and get some rain, but maybe not crazy amounts, please. Let's take it down a notch. But we'll see. Yeah, I mean, so far so good. Yeah, it's a dry heat, and it's very dry, but it's all right. I like it. I like it a lot. What else? What else about Phoenix? We're actually, I suppose, to bring you back into the world of the car here. We're driving. You saw a turn back there. We're driving up to probably the most popular part of South Mountain Park. This is called the Dobbins Lookout. They've made a very large parking lot here. It's pretty much where everybody ends up going, which is why I tend to kind of avoid it when I come to South Mountain Park, because there's some outhouses on your right, and of course there is probably the most, the main reason people come here is the lookout. There's a little like stone building. I'm not sure, it's like an old stone building that the miners used or something like that. As in like gold and coal miners. But we're going to take a quick, like a glove, parking spot there. And yeah, now we're looking north over actual Phoenix. The downtown-ish area is a little bit to the right. The airport is a little bit further. I think it's off-screen to the right. And that's looking up north towards north. I don't know what's all up there. You got your... Up north. It's looking up north. That's all you need to know. I just took a quick park job to stop there. Off to the west there in that distance is where the past Super Bowl was held, and the Chicago White Sox have spring training out there as well, which I went to a game during spring training. That's always kind of cool. Hey, my team is following me down here. No, this is where they've always had spring training. Surprisingly, actually, I was surprised how crowded it gets around the city during spring training. A lot of people travel here for spring training. I mean, media, of course, obviously, but just like people. And this is where they schedule their vacations around sports. Good for them. But, it just became kind of, these restaurants are a lot more crowded than they used to be, or this, that, or the other. So that's something that I didn't expect. I didn't realize that is something that people did a lot. So, I guess moving on. Speaking of restaurants, one of the things I've been most surprised by, Phoenix, as we take a left here, we're going to start to go up past and towards the south outlook, past the radio towers. We'll see that in a minute. One of the things I'm surprised by is the food. There's a lot of good restaurants, and like one-off restaurants, whether or not they be mom and pop places or just kind of like very specialty food places. I'm not sure what the source of that is. It might be the weather. It might be because a lot of people from different, from the Northwest, from the Midwest, a lot of people from the Midwest. That you can't go a day without meeting somebody from Chicago or whatever around here, and it's really cool. But I just think it's because a lot of people come down here for the weather, and they all bring their food, and perhaps their restaurateurs or chefs or whatever. A lot of good food to be found. A lot of gluten-free food, even. A much better selection than even, say, we found in Seattle and stuff like that. Definitely much better than Chicago, the Chicago suburbs and whatever. But that was something that really surprised me. You can go, and I think I have gone quite a while without even ever stepping foot in a chain restaurant around here, just because there's so much other good stuff to try out. So that's a surprise. That's actually one of the surprises. And like I said, there are a lot of Midwesterners, so there is a little bit of the similar culture and similar people. It's not too much of an alien landscape. So yeah, I'm doing all right in Phoenix. And you might be wondering, hey Kurt, why did you take so long to announce this? Why didn't you just say it right off? Well, it was kind of a personal thing, a privacy thing, I suppose. But also, to be honest, for the first 4 or 5 months after the move last November, it was a lot of strangeness going on in the brain places, being like, was this the right choice? Is this something I can handle? This is really overwhelming, and like no family or friends around, and it's if something happens that's bad, who am I gonna go to? And I miss family and stuff like that, and they miss me, and I don't know this place. It's a little bit daunting. Certainly, obviously I didn't even move down here for a job or anything. I just moved down here because I like it. And so it was a little bit daunting. I wasn't sure how it would work out. Of course, it cost money, upfront money. One of the things about Phoenix is they were really hit hard with the real estate collapse. It's starting to turn around, perhaps quicker than it should be, so there might be another bubble on the horizon. And but we'll see. I'm right now just renting, but yeah, for what I'm paying, I'm still paying about the same amount I was paying back in Chicago, but you can get a lot more for what you pay, whether or not you rent or buy or whatever. But like I said, the prices are kind of going up, so it's a little bit, we'll see what happens there. So yeah, but even, sure, the costs could be lower down here, and you can save money here versus around a big city like Chicago or New York or whatever, but where was I going with this? But it's, I don't know where I was going with this. I lost my train of thought, everybody. regardless, now we're going up towards the, where was I going with that? Good lord. We're going up towards the radio towers up there, is where we're going. I suppose some more information. We're going up to the Gila Valley Lookout, which is actually the highest point. This whole road leading up to this point is a 1,000-foot climb from the desert floor, and the total top altitude, at least of the peak on the right there with the radio towers, is 2,690 feet altitude above sea level. So not, certainly if you're from Colorado or something like that, this is not a mountain to you. This is a little hill, but it's just so close to the city. And caution, square left. It's over ridge. It's kind of a cool place to go, and there's a lot of, like I said, hiking trails. I don't like coming here, or there's another city park called Camelback Mountain that has a lot of hiking trails. It's like a mountain climbing trail. Simply because it is a city park, it is free. That means there's a lot more traffic. The one thing about South Mountain is a lot of the trails are used and open to mountain bikers, so the few times I have hiked here, you constantly have to keep your eyes darting over your shoulder because some crazy mountain biker is going to come zipping by at 100 miles an hour. It seems like it might be fun if you're a mountain biker, but as a hiker, that I prefer the solitude, as it were, the far lands or bust style hiking, being out in the wilderness and kind of away from seeing the city and stuff. And we'll be able to actually see once we get up to this lot up here. I'll point out some of the mountains. Well, I don't know the names of the mountains, but you'll see on the horizon. Yeah, now we're kind of looking south. Down that way a couple hours is Tucson, and then a couple more hours is Mexico. But yeah, this is a nice road to drive, but I rarely come here to hike or do anything like that. And yeah, we're gonna come up to this parking lot. This is, like I said, the Gila Valley Lookout, kind of one that people miss. People will just go to that main lookout that we were at and kind of miss this. Of course, you look on the pavement. Apparently, some people come out here to have some fun in their cars. They do donuts on the top of the mountain, I guess. Ooh, that's not what I'm gonna do. But yeah, we've got all the mountains on the horizon there. Are a lot further away. To the right there, I'm not sure what they're all called, but a little bit more of a drive for me personally to get that far south, but worth it if you're gonna do some like actual backwoods, back desert hiking, I suppose, which is really cool. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick turn around here. I actually stopped right there to check to make sure the camera was still recording, so I edited that out. A weird thing, I suppose, a little bit of a review of the monoprice thing is it stopped recording like midway, or actually right as I started the downward drive. I do have footage for the drive down, and I might use that to talk about the Subaru XV Crosstrek. Kind of my thoughts and my impressions, having owned it for about 4-5 months. Can't remember when I got it. So I might use that, but it stopped recording. I noticed it stopped recording at some point. I'm not sure why. It shouldn't. I've done test recordings where it's done a solid hour of footage unbroken, but this time it stopped recording. I don't know if it was the heat. Might have been the heat. On this day, it was up into the hundreds, and I could imagine being strapped on top of the hood of a car in the heat might not have done good things, and it might have shut down to protect itself from melting. I don't know. But otherwise, I'll let you be the judge of the footage here. Yeah, so we're heading back down. That was kind of a one-way trip there, and then we're going to go to one last stop. What else can I talk about for Phoenix? It's hot. It's dry. How long am I going to stay here, I suppose, is a frequent question I get. Obviously, like I said, at first it was a little bit shaky. It was a little bit emotionally unstable to be like, what have I done? But I could, certainly now I don't want to up and spend all that money over again to move all the way back to haul all the crap back to Chicago or anywhere else even. So at least another year. I could see, staying 3, 4, maybe 5 years or something like that. It's a little bit concerning about the, the whole environmental, the global warming, the drought. obviously, Arizona is right next to California, and we all, Colorado, Nevada, and California and Arizona, get the vast majority of our, or all of our water supply from the Colorado River and Lake Mead, is it? That's by the Hoover Dam, which is at an all-time low, and the first state to get their source cut off or reduced based on a water shortage is, you guessed it, Arizona. Because that water goes all the way down to feed Phoenix and also to feed Tucson all the way down. So the first thing that gets cut is the agriculture. Residential use of water really isn't restricted heavily, and it's really not the biggest of problems. It's mostly agriculture that causes, great water use and whatnot. But you do kind of wonder at certain points how long can humans keep this up? This is like I said, there's a currently the real estate market is kind of rebounding. Like I said, possibly a little bit faster than it should be, so there might be another crash. There might be a little bit of a bubble burst. You do wonder how long that could keep up. I'm not saying that it's suddenly going to apocalyptically collapse and turn into a Mad Max film, but it has that sense about it sometimes. So you always wonder. I don't know. Yeah, I certainly don't know that I'll stay here for the rest of my life. Maybe I'll decide, maybe, if you remember some other videos I've talked about, I really liked when I visited Portland and the Pacific Northwest. More so, I like Portland and Oregon better than I'd liked Seattle and Washington for whatever reason, I don't know why. But maybe I'll move up there and hang out there for a little bit, and or maybe I'll go back to Chicago. Maybe I'll get over my internal fears and hatred of large cities and move downtown Chicago? Probably never. Probably not, but who knows? The world is my oyster, and I don't have enough money to pay for that many oysters, so we'll see. We'll settle down here for a little bit and enjoy some times. I certainly want to come back. We're reaching the end of our destination here, but I certainly want to come back and do some more driving vlogs. I am noticing that the camera is just ever so slightly off-center. So I probably, and it's probably showing a little bit too much hood and roof there. I should probably angle it up the next time. So there's some roads out west, way out west actually. It's kind of a long drive for me, but I think it would be worth it to show you guys. There's specifically a road called Apache Trail that turns to dirt after a while, and I would want to eventually maybe put some, right now the car just has the stock street tires on it, and put some all-terrain tires on it. It's like a gravel road. It's not like an off-road or anything like that. But put some better tires on, and maybe we could take a little trip off-road into the mountains out east. Excuse me, did I say west? East of Phoenix. Who knows? But yeah, here we are at the Buena Vista Trailhead, parking in what possibly is a handicap spot. But yeah, there's one last look north towards Phoenix. Off to the right is that Camelback Mountain. It looks like a camel's back, if you can notice it, and a whole bunch of other things. The zoo is out there. This is kind of a nice zoo, but anyway, yeah, I moved to Phoenix. How about that? Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you like this type of video. I know it's not technically a vlog, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll be back and have a trip down South Mountain for another quick video and future things. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. This is Kurt on Kurt Indeed, and I will see you next time.